What, you thought the style video was over? You thought I was gonna just do good content now? Nah. Your boy needs to keep on talking like this because he's gotta have consistent uploads, which hasn't been a thing, has not been a thing, I'll tell you that. Let me tell you my thought process. Basically, I want to be able to do really cool stuff, but then also do stuff that's more based on my personality. So like you saw the freaking chase tag stuff, and you saw the video I made about Twitch and all that type of stuff, and that's all well and good, but those are like informative. Those are freaking informative, and ooh boy, I did not make a YouTube channel to make BBC content all the time. I made this YouTube channel because I like doing dope crap. And so I'm going to do that dope crap, and then I'm also going to do here, and I'm just going to do stream of consciousness type stuff. I have a plan, but this ain't your mama's video essay. This isn't going to be like some beautifully edited, constructed masterpiece, because you don't really need that all the time. You don't. I'm sorry, bro. So before you go into the comments and you're like, hey,
oh my gosh, bro, this seems very non-researched, and this isn't very well informed, and this isn't like the content I'm used to.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point, baby. This is a video essay because I got a point to make. I have some thoughts and I want to share those thoughts, but it's also me being me and me having a stream of consciousness. And this is just you sitting down with a friend and talking about stuff and talking about Avatar. That's what we're talking about. So Avatar came out again. Good for them. Fair enough. James Cameron is whatever. He's a man. He sure is a man. And it sure is one of the movies of all time. I'll be real with you. I sat there and I went into the theater simply because I'm a film major, unfortunately. And so I have to sit there and watch films. And this one seemed pretty important because it's freaking coming out again. And it's freaking breaking box office records even still. It made more money than that freaking Harry Styles movie. The one that apparently they were freaking screaming and pissing at each other the entire time. It made more money than that for sure. Which is funny, right? Because it's a 10-year-old movie, and yeah, it's one of the highest grossing movies of all time. But what do you really know about Avatar? What do you really know? But you know what? That's also the argument that everybody makes. Everybody makes the freaking argument, oh man, Avatar is not a good movie. I didn't like Avatar, and it's just so long, and it's boring, and all that type of stuff. And listen, I've made videos deconstructing people and products and media and all that type of stuff in the past. And let me tell you, it is much harder to be kind to a film than it is to freaking tear it to shreds. Especially when it's a property that is completely new and isn't based on anything. Like if you're a Star Wars fan, it's easy to praise Star Wars. If you're a Marvel fan, it's easy to praise Marvel. Now it's also easy to freaking kill both of them. But end of the day, you already have a childhood nostalgia for that, so it's easy to love it, despite its flaws. With Avatar, it's a completely new property, and it's freaking weird and wonky, and so it's easier to hate. It's easier to make fun of. It's easier to do all that type of stuff. And that isn't to say that Avatar is a good movie or a great movie or a phenomenal movie. I don't think that. But I think that there's things about it that people enjoy and people like and people want to continue to see. And that's what we're talking about today. Hey, I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I think I can do it. I am very confident in it. So if you like this type of stuff, if you like me sitting here on the floor and just freaking ranting about crap and talking about random inane stuff, and then you also like more higher quality stuff, like higher freaking, you should subscribe is what I'm saying. You should subscribe and you should share with a friend because I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, part 1, the plot of Avatar. That's right, boys and girls. There is a plot to Avatar. It's not worth 3 hours, but it sure is a plot. Jake Sully is a paraplegic Marine who, by circumstance of having a very, very smart, very successful brother who tragically died, got to go onto a mission to be part of the Avatar project. Basically, Earth found this planet, and because of the planet's natural resources, they want to be able to mine it and excavate it for all it's worth. Particularly unobtainium. That's what it's called. That's what it's called. You just roll with it. Just roll with it. But the biggest problem, the biggest enemy of capitalism, as we know, is indigenous populations. So what they intend to do is put human minds into avatar bodies, which look like the indigenous people there, and get them to go in and learn what it means to be them, and so that they're able to be diplomats and figure out a diplomatic solution while they can still get all their lovely money. But surprise, surprise, big corporation, kind of bad. And so basically Jake Sully interacts with the Na'vi people, the indigenous population there, falls in love with the culture, and decides to stand up against it. There's also some like Chosen One stuff where it's like, oh, the planet chose you, Awa chose you, so you're going to now unite the tribes and send these guys back into the stratosphere. So yeah, that's the plot of Avatar. In case you didn't know that was the plot of Avatar, that's the plot of Avatar. So as you can tell, pretty freaking innocent. So like, it doesn't seem like the type of plot that would make millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and yet it made millions and millions and millions of dollars, and it now had all the money. So why? Part 2, the breakthrough effect. I want you to go back in time, picture yourself, put yourself in the shoes of somebody in the 1930s. No, let's not make any topical jokes. No, you're sad, you're lonely, your heart's in two. And then Wizard of Oz comes out. Now, I'm not going to say Wizard of Oz is a great story. It's not something that's going to destroy you or anything like that. Its story is functional enough to suit the purpose of the movie. But what really takes Wizard of Oz and elevates it into a classic is a couple of things. Its sound and its color. It's silly now, I know, but when color film first came out, it was an insanely huge financial burden and created something that nobody had ever seen before. And so people freaking flocked to go see this children's movie that is basically, it's a fine story, but it's a technical wonder, especially for the time. So while The Wizard of Oz is not fantastic by any means, it creates a sort of thing and a representation of progress, and it's sort of a showcase of how far this medium of film has gone. You know where I'm going with this. Avatar did what we see now 10 years ago. Sure, yes, we look back now and we sort of laugh at it all, but when you're in that seat and you see effects that you've never seen like this before, of course it's a freaking technical wonder, especially for when it came out. Side tangent, and there was a group of people that watched Avatar that experienced what people now call Avatar depression, meaning that they left the theater and they were sad and crying and weeping because they had to leave Pandora and they wanted to go back. It's funny now. It's very funny now. But with tech like that being such a breakthrough at the time, of course there were going to be some people that felt so strongly about it. So that's the good reason. That's the reason why people like Avatar, that is very surface level and very like universally, yeah, okay. There's also another reason that I think people like Avatar that might be just a little bit more concerning, and something that we might actually need to talk about. And that, of course, is part 3, fake deep appeals so that everybody agrees. That's the title of the segment. That's the title. I'm just gonna go roll. But Connor, the entire plot is based on a company being evil and wanting to take over and run over the indigenous population. Oh my gosh. How can it not be an anti-capitalist movie? Well, before we go into the meta-narrative of the fact that this was produced by a billion-dollar corporation, so they don't really have an interest in making an anti-capitalist movie, we gotta more focus on something more pressing, and it's the fact that they paint this company just as a government agency. That's just how they do it. The big bad guy is, you guessed it, a drill sergeant, and he's basically like, oh, I've seen war, and so I'm gonna take my anger out on the minority population here and the indigenous people here. And yes, that's a very real thing. There are government agencies that are that. But it's not wanting you to think it's a government agency. It's wanting you to think it's a company. But they just completely ignore the fact that it has anything to do with the market at all, and focuses more on, look at these guys in camo trying to kill these people. Look how bad the government is. Now, I believe that the government is bad. It's got a lot of problems. But you can't have it both ways, movie. You can't go ahead and say, hey, we want big bad guy to be company, and then make the big bad guy government. That's not how that works. It's just not. The fact that this movie wants you to associate big bad with not the actual problem here, which is the desire for profit outweighing literal lives of people, which is a very real thing that happens even now, and wants you to focus on, okay, government bad. Look at big bad government. It's much easier to make a bad guy that is universally hated than a bad guy that has multi-layered and actually is a mirror to oneself. The reason I talk about this is by doing both, they can attract more people to go see the movie. Because now you get the people that are actually pro what they're trying to teach, what the intended moral is. And then you also get the people that are like, oh, I don't like government, so I agree, brother. I hate government, so I agree with the message of this movie, and I want more people to go see it. So now you get universal appeal, but you're not saying anything. So I don't freaking know. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want a message? James Cameron thinks he wants a message. That's all he freaking talks about with these freaking movies, how it's supposed to be the highest form of art. And yet when he makes the movie and he creates the movie, it creates a sort of it creates a message that could go so much more and actually freaking deal with the issues that he wants to tackle with. But he just doesn't. And it frustrates me as a creator. But I get it too, because now you get billions and millions of dollars. You get so much money. You get all the money. And so now you can make freaking 5 Avatar sequels and be on your way. But you're not saying anything. And that's the real problem. That's the shame. That's the heartbreak of this movie. So yeah, what do I think about Avatar? I think overall, you should see this movie. I think that it's one of those movies that you almost need to like watch to appreciate. That sounds like such a film snob thing to say, but I had an enjoyable experience watching this movie for most of it. I was frustrated by the fact that, you know, the messaging was just all over the place and how they delivered the message just seemed very wrong. But at the end of the day, it's a beautiful movie. It's really inoffensive. So I think you should go watch it. That's what I think about this movie. And until next time, I'm Connor. I love stories. And I'll see you later. Take care.